So recently I picked up some interesting things. Picked up Tecmo Baseball for the NES. I'm not a fan of sports games, but it helps to pad out my collection. It's always nice to have more games. Got this AT&T binder. I thought it was kind of cool. It was like 50 cents. Then I picked up this extra kit, this like extension kit for a Kirby vacuum cleaner, and I think I might cut this hose so it works on my mom's Electrolux. Even comes in a Kirby box. Oh wait, oh, that's for the Heritage too. That's to that one. Well then. Looks like I probably won't be cutting it up. I'll probably be using it for my Heritage. Well, okay, not using it for my Heritage 2. I don't actually use vacuum cleaners. But, yeah, I probably don't want to tear it up now that I know it's compatible to the one I already own. I was thinking it was just to a random Kirby model. Well, never mind. Picked up an old keyboard. I have too many keyboards as it is, but this one was cheap, and you don't see ones that are this old very often. I picked this up. It's a converter box to go from VGA to NTSC. I'm very curious about this because it's always fun to run computers on old televisions like that. That's actually what I use. I use one of these to run my PC second monitor on my Commodore monitor. And this one actually doesn't have very good features, so maybe this one would have better features. So I swapped these out. This one's now running and this one's off. And actually the image is a lot better because before it was kind of up in the edge. Actually, this one is meant to take in at up to 1024 by 768, which is, it means that it would downscale it, but that would still display it. That'd be kind of nice. Yeah, it's a video cable to a Commodore 64. If only my Commodore 64 worked. Huh, that's kind of cool. And lastly, I have this that I got, a zip drive. It's weird. I've actually been coming across a lot of zip drives here lately, and for a long time I just couldn't find any. Oh, that one looks awesome. That's a very snazzy looking one. It's made in 2000, so it's not too old. I found this box of random junk that I had. It was kind of in an obscure place that I don't come across it very often. Kind of got strewn across my floor because I was trying to organize it and whatnot. Have a bunch of relays and stuff. But then it just kind of got left here because I started working in the basement. You like the new lights I put in for my mom? Well, anyway, I've been going through these boxes and ripping into them because I really haven't gone through these ever since we moved here. It's kind of a shame I could never get this thing to work. It's kind of shaped like a calculator. Oh, this is an idea that came up for probably about 6 or 7 years ago, where you have some box tubing that's nested in between it, then you have slots cut through it, and then on the inside you just have a piece of square rod with a bolt through it. So then what you can do is you can use it to make like a welding table type thing that can expand and contract, because each one of these will telescope inside of the other piece of box tubing, and then you can just tighten it down with the wing nut. This is a letter I sent to Nintendo Power asking Nintendo if they'd ever put The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time on the DS, but then they actually put it on the 3DS a couple years later, so that's kind of cool. So now I have the box empty, and I'm going to put some bags into it. Start filling it up with power cables and whatnot. So I'll have a nice place where all my power cables are organized. Okay, so this has all 4 bags, with one being peripherals, one being... oh, okay, the fourth one is over there. That's just random wires that I can cut up for projects. I have... okay, random wires, peripherals, data wires, and power cables, all in here. I'm going to go through some other boxes to see if I can find any ones that I don't need. Well, I cleared out quite a few cables from this. Also, I think I might start another box just for components, like this disk drive and stuff like that, and this battery. Now this motherboard to a calculator is pretty interesting. I don't know, maybe that's gold plating? Because this is from like 1971 or so, back whenever handheld calculators were quite expensive, so this may well be gold on there. I think this LCD screen comes off. Yep, it comes off. I just found this in the creek one time. So I think this box will become my nostalgia box, like this cutout from Nintendo Power, my drawings, our old television remote control we had when I was a kid, random stuff like that. Well, here's where my game controllers went. I used to just have these hanging up by their cords in my bedroom, so if I wanted an N64 controller or whatever, I would just go up and unhook it. I also found this. I'll test the compression on my 3-wheeler. Here's something I always thought was pretty cool. This, whoops. This is like a tower that held like 8 CD-ROMs, so you could burn a bunch of CDs at once. Picked it up for like $5 years and years ago. Has its own power supply and everything. Okie dokie, so I will finally try to eat that. Have a couple games these will go up in my game box area. I have it in my room. I just haven't stacked up, but oh well. That'll go in the nostalgia box. I should take all these magazines to my dad's basement and put them up on my bookshelves. Oh, this is the Radioactive Tea Pot I bought for like $12 a long time ago. This is about like 1880s, 1890s or so. See, they used uranium ore for the yellow pigment, so it's slightly radioactive. There's the baseline reading in my room. Here's a little bit. If you go to first setting, it just maxes out the meter. Still, it's not that much power. That's not that much radiation. Just a little bit. Well, maybe a little bit, but I don't know. Also got this. I've shown that in other videos. Here's some americium. And this has uranium in it also. But it doesn't give as much of a reading. Let's give more of a reading. Here's a container I was trying to turn into a pressure vessel, but it obviously wasn't meant to hold pressure or vacuum. Here's from a television I found in a creek one time. It's a circuit board where it actually had a section of the board that was raised up above the other board, so it had better ventilation. They can go outside. And here's some cups to, I don't know what it is, Sub-Diggity. Whatever it is, it sounds cool. It's probably like Subway. Sub-Diggity. Makes me want to sound like Diglett from Pokemon. Diglett dig, Diglett dig. I got a whole like spool or column of those with Sub-Diggity on them. Still haven't used them. Windows 95 upgrade. Now this folder is pretty old. This is like my game development worksheet back whenever I was first starting with video games when I was like 13 or so. I was trying to figure out how to program tile sets and make the images and stuff. So I have like very simple like letters I was trying to program into the game so I could display stuff. There's some levels. It's the back foot of Mario, I think. Because I started out making Mario clones, pretty much. But yeah, that's kind of neat. A little history of my game development. What the hell's this? Ah, this is Nintendo Power issue 216. Or 218, I mean. From 2007. This is sadly how my issues would sometimes arrive. Either a really bad machine at the U.S. Post Office, or just some sick fuck just wanted to mess with my magazines. So I would just get them as a bunch of pages pushed into my post office box. Here's a lot of my old issues of Popular Science and Popular Mechanics. Popular Science was the one that was the biggest letdown. I have to say that Wired was what I was looking for, because Wired is the one that I still get today. But Popular Science, Popular Mechanics was okay. It did have some pretty cool stuff in it, like this one they were talking about missiles and missile silos and stuff. But Popular Science, it should have been called Popular Science Fiction, because it doesn't talk about things that are actually happening now, or things that could be happening in the relative future. It talks about like building skyscrapers to outer space and whatnot. That's not going to happen for another like 60 years or so. I mean, get real. Oh, now this is a blast from the past. This is how all my old game guides were. We didn't actually have internet, and I didn't have a whole lot of old game guides. Now I have a little bit more old game guides, and also back at this time, I bought a lot of game guides that were new then. So I have a good collection of game guides from now to back to like 2004 or 2005. But back then I didn't have hardly any game guides at all. This is for Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. See, back then we didn't have internet, so I'd go to my dad's workplace. He was the IT guy, so I can go into any computer system I really wanted. I would surf the web, and I'd find whatever game guides I needed, and then I would print it out and take it home. This would be my game guide. Made in 2007. So this is a hard copy of the internet. It's an archived copy of the internet. That's actually kind of cool. Which I know that you could probably go back on the internet and find this exact same thing. But still, that's pretty cool. Okay, so I reshuffled them a bit. That's the item box. That's the cable box. This is the... I don't know, it's a broken box, so it'll probably be thrown away whenever I move all the stuff out of it. And that's the nostalgia box. Now, I've gotten some more stuff for the nostalgia box. Probably this. Because really all I own, just these boxes right here. This is all my mom's stuff. So there's just these 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 boxes. Which is really isn't that bad, because I would expect myself to own a lot more. Well, okay, I do have a storage shed in my bedroom, my dad's basement, and my shed, and 2 white. Okay, yeah, I'll shut up now. Still gotta get this big tank out of the way. That'd open up a lot of room. I wasn't going to, but I think I will go through these just to see if they can be organized. Oh, maybe they could be. Lots of games in this one. You know what? Yeah, I probably should take a lot of these games and put them up on a shelf or something up in my house. That's a really good game. One of my favorite games. Of course, Jersey Devil is better, but oh well. This is a Commodore cassette drive. I always like the aesthetic of these, the brown buttons and stuff like that. Yeah, this might be my periodic table. For the longest time, I had a periodic table a really big periodic table hanging up in my room. Oh, looks like it's Star Wars. Yep, Star Wars. I think my periodic table's in another box. This was probably, actually I think this was Bill's. I had a friend named Bill who had muscular dystrophy, so he spent a lot of time at home, and I was kind of his only friend, and he was kind of my only friend that wasn't a jerk and didn't live a long way away. So we spent a lot of time together playing Pokemon cards and whatnot. since he had muscular dystrophy, he didn't really get to play with a lot of his toys, like Legos and whatnot. So he actually gave me a lot of Legos. Like most of the Legos I own are from him. Well, then whenever he died, he told his, actually, well, before he died, of course, he told his mom to give me all of his stuff. So I just got a bunch of like Star Wars figurines and whatnot, which is pretty cool. I'd rather have him around, but everyone dies, so well. And it's nice to have something to remember somebody by. This is part of a blackboard, or whiteboard, I mean. The best way to get cool suction cups is from an old television. The grounding plug with the cable. You know, in a way I kind of hate the Super Game Boy, because if you have a shelf that's just perfectly sized to fit your Super Nintendo game cartridges in, then you have this and you can't fit it into the shelf. Like what's happening up in my room. That's why it's down here. This is kind of a neat find. It's an entirely non-electric Pong. Well, it is electric, but it has a little DC motor inside of it. Somehow it just calculates it calculates Pong through gears, which is really interesting. It's from 1977. Oh, I remember this thing. HP-19B. This thing was pretty cool. Hey, it still works. It's basically the first PDA, or one of the first PDAs. Oh no, this is kind of a rare find. Like a coupon type thing that went with Zelda Majora's Mask. They had this at Walmart, I think. Yeah, they had it at Walmart. And you would tear off a copy, and you got a $10 off. Or, oh no, you got to reserve a copy of Majora's Mask. I still haven't finished that game. Ah, Game Boy camera. At the time, this was the smallest digital camera that was commercially available, I think. Miss Pac-Man, a little kid's book from. Probably revolved. Since they have noses in this, it probably revolved around the cartoon series, 1983. Oh, hey. Microcomputer interfacing handbook. Analog to digital and digital to analog. This was a pretty helpful book. This played a big part in my quest for understanding transistors, which for some reason took over a decade. I don't know why. Oh, another thing for Majora's Mask. It's another thing to reserve a copy. Yeah, there's a Game Boy Advance Ereader. Now this thing's a little bit interesting, because you swipe like a Pokemon card or something through that has like a little compatible adapter on it, and you can actually play a game that's saved on the outside of a Pokemon card. I'd really like to put some shelves in here so I could actually, instead of having them all sitting on top of each other, also I could pull out the ones on the bottom. It'd be really nice to have a row of shelves here and have a row of shelves here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. See ya!